Hello everyone, welcome back to Gardening TLC. I am Michelle, and today we are on my front porch. We are going to work on taking houseplants inside today. The temperatures are going to start dropping at night, and houseplants don't like that. So as I see the temperatures dipping into the 40s, I want to make sure I'm getting my plants ready to go inside. We're going to be cleaning them off, treating the leaves, and treating the soil. So if you've ever wondered what to do to bring your plants inside so that they're bug free, come along today, because that's exactly what we're going to do. So there are a few steps that I follow to take them inside. So whether it's a house plant that I potted up and it's been sitting out here all summer, or maybe it's one you found on sale at the garden center or at a box store, or even the grocery store has plants now, and you want to bring it home, I treat them all the same. So one of the things that you can do in the fall is, if you feel like your plants are pot bound because they put on a lot of growth over the summer, now is a good time to transplant them into the next size pot up. When you're planting houseplants, you never want to go from a little bitty 5-inch pot like this into a great big pot like this that's so much bigger that they stress. I don't know what it is about houseplants, but they really just want to go to the next size up. So on a plant like this, I would probably pot it up into the next size up. So I'd go from a 4 to a 6, or a 5 to a 6. Usually pots are like in even numbers. They're usually like 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch. That's how you're gonna find most of them. Now I like to use terracotta pots. It helps me because they're inexpensive, and two, I like them to all match. So I just like this, and I like that they have the little saucers that come with them. So we are going to go through the steps of what I do to take them inside, and I pretty much follow this with every plant that I bring in. Now I'm not going to clean every house plant up that I have out here. I'm just going to kind of do a few and take you through what it is that I'm doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off every leaf on my plant. Now I just do this with soap and water. I just use a mild dish soap, like Ivory is a really nice mild dish soap that you can use. I like to use the shower gloves because then I can just come through like this with my hands, and I just dip it in the soapy water, and then I just come through and I clean all the leaves off. So what this does is it gets the dust, any residuals that are on here. It will pick up a few bugs. It will pick up a few eggs doing this. So I just clean them all off. It's just a good idea to clean your leaves before you bring them inside. So if you don't have a pair of these, I picked these up at the Dollar General store, but you could use a pair of socks. I mean, believe it or not, that works too. Or you could just use like a dishcloth. So any of those work. So I'm just gonna go through and I'm just gonna clean my leaves off. All right, so I just actually picked this guy up. This is a philodendron called Prince of Orange. Isn't it great? I haven't even potted it up yet. I love this guy. I love the color on it. So I was pretty excited when I got some in at the garden center, and I decided that I needed to have one to add to my collection. So that's step number one, is wash the leaves with soap and water. I basically just go through with my soap and water and I wash them all at the same time until I get through all of them and I'm done. Step two is I'm going to spray the leaves, and just in case I have any bugs or insect eggs on the back of my leaves that I didn't get by cleaning them off, this is going to be a smothering technique that's going to take care of the rest of that. Now I have 3 different products here that you can use. I have used all 3. 2 of them are organic, 1 of them is synthetic. What I find with the organics is I use 2 because I feel like the bugs build up a resistance to the active ingredient in these 2 organics. They're both different active ingredients, and so I switch back and forth between the 2, but they both work. Both of these can be used on vegetables, fruits, nut trees, citrus, berries, ornamental shrubs, flowers. So all of those can be used with this product. Now this is called Triple Action. It is from Fertilome, and it is to control, it's an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide, and it has a different active ingredient altogether. And this one is a concentrate that you mix with water, or you can buy it ready to use in a spray bottle. All right, so the active ingredient in the insecticidal soap, which is by Bonide, this is an organic, is, oh my goodness, it's the potassium salts of fatty acids. That's the active ingredient. When you spray this on the plant, you're going to spray it all over. You're going to spray the stems, the leaves, the undersides of the leaves. You want to make sure you get all parts of the plant. The same thing with this one. Now, the active ingredient in the Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew is spinosad. Now, spinosad is an element that's found naturally occurring in nature, and both of these are organics. I think they work best if you go back and forth between the two. Now, if you want to use a synthetic, I would recommend the Triple Action from Fertilome. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to read the instructions on how much to mix in this in your water. Now, the one thing with this is it does say it controls insects, disease, and mites on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, rose flowers, and shrubs around the home, and I've used it on my houseplants as well. So either one works. The biggest thing with any chemical that you're going to use, whether it's organic or not, read the label and to shake them up before you use them. All right, so I am actually going to use the insecticidal soap first on this one right here, and then in 10 days I will switch after I get them in the house, just in case. As a preventative, I will actually use the Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew and do a second spray at that time. So again, when you're doing this, make sure you spray every leaf. It doesn't have to be dripping. You just want to make sure you get good contact everywhere on the plant. So lift those leaves up and make sure you get down inside of there where the stems are if you have a plant that's got like a really thick center. All right, so this guy, see how this leaf is just starting to unfurl? So I'm going to open that up and give it a little spray as well. All right, let's get them all sprayed. All right, everything is now sprayed down. I'm gonna let it all dry. I don't bring them in the house for 2 days because I want to give everything a chance to work before I bring it inside. So that's why you want to be ahead of the weather. Now, I've taken care of all of the leaves and everything that you can see. But what about everything you can't see? Everything down here in the dirt. That is the next part that I want to take care of, because maybe I have larvae or bugs or eggs down inside the soil and I want to take care of those next. One of the first things that you can do is you can actually skim off the top surface of the soil. So like a 1/4 inch of the soil, if you can get to it. Now I put rocks on the top of mine, so I don't have the ability to get to the top 1/4 inch unless I want to remove all the rocks. But I like to do this on new plants that I get. And what I'll do is I'll remove the top part of the surface. Because a lot of time, if there are eggs, they'll be right in the top. And if you look in there, you can see after removing if you've got any bugs moving around in there. Then you can add some fresh soil to this just on the top there. So that's one thing that you can do to start with. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make up my hydrogen peroxide mix. And what I do is I use 1 part of hydrogen peroxide to 3 parts water. And this is just the 3% hydrogen peroxide. I bought this at Dollar General. And so I'm going to pour, oh, I guess I gotta take the little tab off. I'm gonna pour 1 cup of this into a measuring cup, and then I'm gonna add 3 cups of water. Now, when I do this, one of the things that I did was I stopped watering my houseplants about a week ago, because I want them to dry down, because I want this to not get diluted and watered down into wet soil. So I waited a week, let everything dry, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna water everything with this hydrogen peroxide mix. And what this does for me is it kills any larvae in the soil so that they don't hatch. So what I can do next though is I can, let me get my saucer though. All right. I can water all my plants with this mix. Now I do want to mix it up. I don't know that I brought a stir stick out with me. I guess I'll just use my finger. It's just hydrogen peroxide. But you do want to mix it up, and then you're going to want to water your plant. You want to put it on there slowly so that it has time to, you know, work its way into the soil. Because our goal here is that we saturate the soil so that if there are any larvae or bugs in here, it's killing them. All right, so this guy is now watered, and you can see I still have a lot of water left. Okay, so I'm gonna take him and move him. And then I'm gonna go to my next one. Now, if you want to pull a plant out to see like if it's root bound or not, so like I'm gonna pull this one out. I have roots kind of coming out of the bottom of the plastic pot because I haven't repotted him yet into a new pot. But everything looks pretty healthy. I don't see like bugs and stuff in there, but even if I don't see them, I'm still gonna do this as a preventative. So this guy still needs to be repotted, but I'm gonna go ahead and treat him and get him ready to go so that he is ready to be repotted. So I'm gonna water him up with some of this hydrogen peroxide, and then I'm gonna move on to my next plant, my next plant, and my next plant. I'll probably have to make up 5 or 6 of these. Now I could just mix it right up in this big watering can right here, which is probably what I will do. I just did this for demonstration purposes. Typically when I'm doing this with all of my plants, I will go through 2 of these, and this is a 32 fluid ounce. I have quite a few plants, but some of my plants are big, so I wanna make sure that, you know, I will probably use this to water the 2 big ones, just this by itself. All right, so that is what I'm gonna do next. That's my 3 steps for getting my houseplants ready to take inside. I wipe them off, I spray them with the insecticidal soap, and then I water them with the mix of hydrogen peroxide. I've never had problem with bugs in my houseplants. I bring them out every single year. For some of you, if you have a really bad insect problem in your soil, that might be a really good time also to repot your plant and get it fresh soil and make sure that you're getting as many bugs off as you're transplanting it over. But if you still got bugs in there and you're afraid that you're bringing them into the house, then I would bring out the big guns. And what that would be the systemic insecticide for houseplants from Bonide. Now, this is a synthetic, and the active ingredient is imidacloprid. I don't know if I said that right, but what it says here about using this product is that you sprinkle it on the top surface of your plant, and then you work it in, and then you water it in. Now, after you water it in, for the next 10 days, you want to be very sparse in your watering. That way, this has a opportunity to work down in that soil. Your roots have an opportunity to pull it up through the plant. Now, it says here that you are going to use, on a 1 gallon plant, you would use 2.5 tablespoons. So you're sprinkling that pretty even across the top. It also says here that you do want to make sure that you work that granular into the soil, so don't skip that step. But you know what? There's instructions in every chemical that you buy, so make sure you open those up and take a look at what they say inside before you start using them. I break the big guns out if I feel like I've got a bigger bug problem than I can handle. This absolutely works great. You know what? We all have times of busyness in our life, and maybe you just had to get them inside. Well, say that happened and you had a bunch of fungus gnats that are flying around. How do I get rid of those? Well, go to that hydrogen peroxide solution and get it in the soil. Clean up all your leaves and then put sticky traps out. Put the sticky trap right in the plant and they'll catch the flying fungus gnats. And hopefully between doing those 3 things, you will eradicate these guys flying around in your houseplants. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned something about what to do to bring your houseplants inside. That's all I've got for today. I hope you get your hands in the dirt today, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.